Good day, podcast community, and my community of givers and achievers. Today, three insights, my guiding principles of what I focus on each day. First, mindset. Second, goals. And third, habits. Now, let's go into mindset first. What do I mean by mindset? Well, mindset is how we process information. What we think about, do we have an open or a closed mindset? That's the question you have to ask. And are everything you're either open or closed? Not necessarily. You can take any situation that you're approached with, and you could think you have an open mindset. But when you really got down to it, you had a closed mindset. And that limited you to that situation. Let me give you an example. I'm a member of Rotary. And when I was pursuing that, I thought I had an open mindset. I thought that I was always challenging my minds and my beliefs through podcasting. I felt I approached everything with an open mindset, but I didn't. I was not going to join because I had a closed mind about a particular thought, mindset. I thought the Rotary was like it was 25, 30 years ago when I was in it, that it was an organization of white guys. Now, I'm an old white guy, and I thought that this person was the old Rotary. But as it turned out, I was totally wrong. Totally wrong. I had that mindset going in is prove to me that that you're different. And so my limiting belief, my mindset looked at it without looking at it with an open mind. I didn't ask questions. I didn't probe. I simply just processed it in a closed fashion. Now, what were the consequences of that situation? If a person didn't reach out to me that day before, I wasn't going to go. But that person, I would say, I knew she had an open mindset. When she did, and she started asking questions, and she started to really kind of take me through the thought process, take me through that closed mindset. And I was basically open at that moment because she, instead of just texting, she called, she communicated, she spoke to me, she answered some of my questions. And she obviously was thinking, man, did he miss the boat on this one? But all she did was get me to think and process differently what I had been processing. And I told her what my issue was, and she walked me through it like a professional would with an open mind. That would have been a terrible decision because this club, North Cobb Rotary, is amazing. They have like 35 projects going on at this moment, all run by by a person who takes ownership of it. They don't just say, hey, we want to do this, throw some money at it. No, if you want to do a project, you have to drive it. Now, there's plenty of people who support you, and they do. All of a sudden, when somebody says they need something, there's people jumping in to help. It's a heart of serving. However, my mindset was a mindset that was closed, and could have dramatically, because I believe in the service. I believe in the concept service above self. I believe in giving back to the community. That was my core beliefs, but I totally had the wrong mindset. And it almost prevented me from being a part of a wonderful, a impactful group of people. We meet on Thursday morning at Copeland's, and the energy in that room is crazy off the chart. I knew that, but I still had a closed mind. So I want to challenge you. Even though you think you have an open mind, there can be situations where you close your mind and you don't evaluate what's going on. You just assume and you don't ask the questions. Ask questions. That's how you get answers. That's probably one of the things that's going on in our culture right now is there's no middle. There's no understanding, empathy, and asking the questions like, why do you believe that way? What formed your belief? What gets you to believe that way so you can get to understand somebody? You're not going to always agree with people. That's not the point. The point is for you to have an open mind of learning from others. One thing podcasting has done, many things, is I learn every single time I do a podcast. So in 300 podcasts that I've done in a couple of years, man, I'm on an accelerated learning curve, the hockey stick, as they say. And that has allowed myself to grow very fast, very rapidly, and become better. Personal development is wonderful when applied. When we don't apply it, when we don't grow, just like that old saying, when that apple falls off that tree and stops growing, it gets rotten. And our attitude gets rotten when we don't apply the principles of personal development. So in this case, my guiding principles is, why do I think that way? Ask those questions. Don't assume just because you believe this in the past, that's going to be necessarily true. Have an open mind and be able to ask the questions, empathize with people, understand them. Now, number 2, goals. Now, before I got involved with Growth Day, which I'll put some information up there, the most amazing personal development community of strivers in the world. I think there's 400,000 people across 90 some countries that are in this. It's run by a person named Brendon Burchard. If you haven't heard of him, you haven't been around personal development. You haven't been listening, because he has New York Times bestseller. He works with the top people in the world, presidents, billionaires, top A-listers, celebrities, athletes, Olympic athletes. And so with that, and this community he gives a personal message every day, a framework. He's 20 plus years in personal development. So look him up. You'll find somebody that has been adding content for 20 years. So you can find a lot about, and I lost track of him for 10 years. A client way back 10 years ago invited me to a weekend event. It was awesome. It was incredible. And I said, this guy is going to change the world. And he did. And he is. And I just, you get off on a path, and all of a sudden I'm on a podcast and I hear this. I said, Growth Day, what's the heck is that? I go in it and I'm blown away because of the value that I ended up, one, hiring a certified coach, then becoming a certified coach, and then hiring another certified coach. So I have gone on a path, and every day I listen to his Daily Fire. I set goals. Now, my point on number 2 is goals. I would always be the one that I'd set a couple goals and forget about them for, whenever. And I remember Brian Tracy, I actually just listened to him, wrote a book on goals. You got to look at them. How do you know? You forget about them. You get distracted. You take he took a notebook and just write them down, be focusing on them. I never used to do that. So any distraction would take us off course. And that's the way you have trained hundreds of PhDs who are hired by these companies like the Facebooks and the Instagrams and the other sites out there to keep you on those sites, to distract you, not to the point that they're bad. There's too much of them, not going to be good for you, because you want to create content, consume it as much. The average person in America, I think it is, watches 4 hours of TV. Why don't you be the TV station? Why don't you be a podcaster? Why don't you create content, put it out there instead of consuming it? Because when you consume it, you're a consumer, which is okay, but put it in the proper perspective. 4 hours a day, that's kind of excessive. You're just numb to the information that comes in. You're not thinking. This brain was intended to think. And on the goals, I have 5 moves. I have my Friday finishers that I look at each day. Actually, before I start my day, I look at it to see if I'm on track. How do you know if you're on track if you don't have these written down? Now, they're in an app, so I can always change. I can always look no matter where I am. I don't have to have a book where before I'd write it down. I have my phone with me so I can look at it. That allows me to, one, stay very focused, to be looking each day to make that day the best, because in a lot of cases, what we do is we jump into the day and just start the day. We don't think about it. We don't look at what our day looks like. We just jump into it. Then we check email, and that's other people's priorities. Then all of a sudden, we find a problem and we go that direction. Next thing you know, we're 2 hours down the road and we've been just solving problems instead of managing your day, your schedule. Knowing where you're going is more important than other people's priorities, because you have your priorities. You're building your life. You only get one. You only get 24 hours. How you manage your 24 hours determines what an impact you're going to make in the world. And if you don't write down your goals, I like what I get it mixed up. Patrick Bet-David, that's it. PDP. Check his podcast out. Great stuff. I mean, he is crushing it because he's devoted to personal development. He's devoted to making a difference and an impact. When I say that, I say this: having those goals and knowing how you're going to grow is important. And instead of watching TV, I don't have TV. I didn't have TV for the longest of time. I do now, but I still very seldom watch it. But here's the key. I know where I'm going. I know my 5 moves. I know my 5 goals. I can tell you right now what they are. What does that do when you go to sleep at night? Your subconscious mind starts to believe those because you're focused on it. Now, there's things like morning routine, how you establish your evening routine. That'll get into habits, the next one. But if you're wanting to accomplish your life and you're wanting to live your life to your fullest, without goals, you're not going to get there, because any decision you make there won't be a rudder, as you can say, on a boat taking you down the right path. You know the old book, The Road Less Traveled? Well, the busy road are the people that just don't set goals. They just let life take them wherever they want. Now you can say, that's an easy life? I don't know. I don't think so. An easy life is making a big impact, doing what your priorities are, your family, and setting those goals to develop every day. So writing those down, those goals, looking at them each day, and having not 20 things to do, but 5 things to do to move the dial on those goals. Not only when you do that, you have increased energy, everything works so much better. You're just happier. You're You're more fulfilled. You don't get burned out like some people can. So write down those goals. Check out. Let me see if I can put this up on the screen. I don't think, yeah, I can right here. Yeah. So try go through 14 days, then $49 a month, the best investment you'll ever make in your life. And if you go to PeteKane.me/growth day, you can sign up and try it for 14 days. Once you try it, you're going to be loving it. But taste it, experience it, see what those unique messages that Brendon gives you each day, called the Daily Fire. It's his framework, 20 years in the business, giving you a personal message. Now, the community is probably 400,000, so he's getting a lot of people, but you're listening to it. He's like he's speaking to you. So I challenge you to invest in yourself and invest in growing. Personal development would be the best thing you could ever do. Okay, now let me just take that off here. Habits, the last one. So what is habits? Habits, what makes you? I had a habit, got up at 4 o'clock, spent a half hour getting them prepared, talked to my team, and then 5 o'clock, I was at the gym. Did that for a year and a half. Now I moved from that facility, so I don't have that at my fingertips, but I still have a regular routine. I always get up between 4 and 4:30. Now I'm in bed by 8:30. So, it's I still get my sleep, but here's the habit. Stacking your habits. A great book by James Clear, Atomic Habits. What does that mean? Stacking your habits on top of each other. So I did that because it was my creative time. When I cycled and I lift weights every other day, and I did the upper body one day, and then the other day I did lower. So I had a routine, and I missed one day. And that was because of Rotary. I woke up too early. I didn't set my alarm, and I very seldom do. I didn't have enough time to get to the gym and do that routine. One time in a year and a half. Now, I'm sorry, caught COVID there, and I was out but intentionally doing it, I did it every single day. And you get momentum by that habit because I'm journaling, I'm planning, I'm doing my routine, hydrating as soon as I get up, doing the things that I just built in, because mental fatigue, decision fatigue is real. And if you're making too many decisions during the day, you get tired. Your brain gets tired. So the more you can create that you don't even have to think about, you just do it, the better you're going to be. So create these habits. My habit in the evening is 3-2-1. What does that mean? 3 hours before I stop eating. I eat 3 hours before I go to bed. 2 hours, no email. 1 hour, no screen time. Now that can mean video screen time on the phone or TV, because when you throw these lights into your brain needs to calm down. And so if you're stimulating the brain before you go to sleep, how do you think that pattern of sleep is going to be affected? It will be affected by that. And you want to make sure you're calming down the brain, preparing for a deep sleep. Sleep is critical to energy and health. Getting the proper amount of sleep requires habits. The 3-2-1 is the best out there. And part of that is meditation. Calming the brain down, calming the brain, channeling my ADHD, which I call it the active brain. It's good if you have an active brain, but you got to put barriers. You got to put borders on it. You got to have guidelines. And if you just have all these thoughts popping around in your brain, you're going to be doing things. You want to know where you're going. You want to calm that brain down and channel the energy. And habits can channel your energy. It can create, and the more habits that you do not have to think about, the more thinking time that you have to get what you want accomplished. And that's why habits are so important. So to recap, mine are mindset, have an open mindset, and always check your mindset at the door. Always challenge that. Do you have an open mindset? Is it closed because of our past experience? Because our brain can only affect what we've had experience with. So if you have something in your past that may give you a closed mindset, then that's what your brain remembers. So you always got to feed your brain good thoughts, not necessarily positive affirmations, although they're good, but there's the things that you do each day determine a lot of that mindset. Mindset, goals, if you're not writing them down, looking at them, you'll get distracted. And today, there's plenty of distractions out there. Plenty. 4 hours of TV, is that a distraction? Yes. Screen time, an hour, 2 hours. How many times do you jump on your phone and then an hour goes by and you're still scrolling, watching TikTok videos? That happens. With goals, make it harder to do those things. Create habits in there where you take breaks every hour, where you get up and you stretch and you hydrate and you do the things that will help you perform at your best. So let me just give you this right here. If you'd like to be a guest on my podcast, go to PeteKane.me. And I'd love to have you as a guest. Runs about 25 minutes. And we share your story with our community. We're not commercializing you. We're sharing your story. And people love stories. That's why I love podcasting. I learn so much and I get to share your story. So go to PeteKane.me if you'd like to be a guest on my podcast, and I'd love to have you on. I'm Pete Kane, and it's been a pleasure to be with you. Have an awesome day and keep getting better. Thank you.